official start is always to introduce myself. So I'm Pandora. I'm a psychic medium with over 3 decades worth of experience. I come from a psychic family. I see things, hear things, and feel things. And we're going to do some little experiments today and talk more about turning up the volume on your intuition, which I think is going to be super fun because I always love helping people with that. I also do pet psychic readings because I know we talked a little bit about the pets that are going to be in the room. Sometimes they do get loud when I'm around, just so you know. I also am a meditation teacher and I do classes like this too. So I know for Christina, I'm going to be putting things in the chat, some printouts and stuff in the little chat box. So you may see that pop up, a little notification on the bottom if you're in on a computer. So here we go. This is just the first thing that I made for you guys. And it's just a reminder for later. It's 5 ways to turn up the volume on your intuition. So what I want to start with is, how do you guys sense your intuition? How does it come through for you? Does anybody want to jump in?
I get a kind of a funny feeling in my gut.
Okay, like a tingle or butterflies. I mean, that's how it sometimes comes through for me.
You know how you can feel emotions in your chest? If I feel it in my gut and then something comes right after that, for me, that's like, all right, I better do that because that's my intuition talking.
Okay, awesome. So you're a solar plexus girl where you get your messages. I like that.
Apparently,
more,
yes.
Yeah. That's where mine come through. That's also where we learn to trust, is when we feel them in our gut. We can trust that sensation easily, usually, anyway.
I have a little voice in my head that says something, and I know that I'm supposed to do whatever it said.
Okay.
For instance,
and does that voice sound like your voice or somebody else's voice?
No, I never thought to listen to the voice sounds. I always figure it's from someone upstairs or whatever. So, I mean, I avoided an accident by listening to the voice.
By listening to it. Okay. So that sense for you is more clairaudience, so being able to hear it. So that is a little bit more connected to your third eye, and or a combination of third eye and throat chakra. So that's where you're the most open. That's interesting. Not everybody has that. So that's really good. Definitely pay attention to that voice. For me, when it comes through in my head, if I'm doing a reading, sometimes it is in my own voice, but it is, I perceive it to be protection coming from our angels, loved ones in spirit, or sometimes higher self will come through with our voice. It doesn't always sound like the loved one in spirit that we want it to, even though the message is potentially coming from them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it's hard for them to create their voice in our heads for us. So they give it to us in our own voice. So Christina, do you have any experiences too?
For me, it's just a knowing. Like, I don't know how to say it, but it just, if I need to make a decision, I just know. Like, there are times where I don't know, and I'm like, okay, why can't I get that feeling? Or, you know, even stupid things like watching TV, the words will just come out of my mouth before they say them.
Yes.
Which drives my mom crazy.
Right before they say them.
So it's just a thing, and I don't, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, that is more closely connected with clairsentience, so clear sensing, or claircognizance, clear awareness or clear understanding. And the reason why you can get it before they say it is that even if it's a live broadcast, they send that signal out a millisecond before you get it in your living room. So you're actually hearing it as it's originated. So that's why you get it just a little bit ahead of time. And if it's a pre-recorded something, you're picking it up off of the recording before it gets to you, which is very cool. I love that. It's great. It comes in handy for game shows, right?
I have to sign up.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so Steph, what about for you?
Yeah, I would say claircognizant. I always just know things unexplainably, and I just really, for me, it's like just knowing it and then trusting that I know it. I think that's
Okay.
part of the thing that gets in the way is just unexplainably knowing things, saying things with my friends, and then trusting that what I said is correct, and then it ends up being correct. But I think it's that doubt because it comes so naturally.
Yeah,
And
it's hard to
unexplainably.
learn to trust it. I agree.
Yeah.
So we'll talk a little bit more about that later, how to learn to trust it. So I'm going to put two things in the chat that talk a little bit more about chakras, our energy centers, and also the second one is talking about our psychic senses and which chakras they're most connected to. These are things that I just created so that you guys can kind of refer back to them later, especially because sometimes in a class it goes by quickly. But like, for instance, anybody who's feeling it in their upper chakras. So Pat, you said you hear it. That's going to be in the upper chakras, so more the spiritual chakras. Deb, you're in your earth chakras because you're beneath your heart chakra, or you're combined with heart chakra and solar plexus. Same thing for you, Steph. It's kind of more in the body, with the clear sensing or claircognizance, heart and solar plexus. And then same with Christina, heart and solar plexus. So there's no right or wrong way, by the way. And as your abilities prove themselves to you as they get louder, they may change location. And they also may change location based on the situation. So sometimes, in order for spirit to get our attention, they have to switch it up. So, like the protecting you from getting on the wrong elevator, protecting you from crossing the street at the wrong time, getting you out of a car accident before it happens, they have to get pretty loud to get you to hear it. So they may have that show up somewhere else. It may show up in a vision. It may show up in a sound. So just watch out for when your senses change. So don't expect that they're always going to be coming through in the same spots. Okay. So, okay, good. I'm doing well. I have my notes. So one of the things that I find for myself that I do every time before a session is I work to clear out the clutter that goes on in my brain. So in addition to the psychic voice that you may hear in your head, you've got your own thoughts. You've got your monkey mind that is just chattering all the time. So you have to learn to clear that clutter so that there is space for the intuitive voice to step in. There's lots of different ways to do that. I love doing little short meditations, 1 to 2 minute meditations a couple of times a day. That helps me keep balanced. Do you guys ever work with meditation at all, short or long?
Not on a regular basis, but I do. And I've taken other classes to learn how to, clear my mind.
Okay, awesome. The one thing I'll say for sure is that practicing regularly with meditation and to clear that mind space is going to keep you in the right place to receive more information. So even if it's a meditation, a quickie one before bed or first thing in the morning every day, then you're training your mind, hey, this is good. We're going to turn down the volume on all those voices. We're going to leave space for other thoughts to come in. Okay, so I would do that once a day if you can, or at least a few times a week. So I was thinking we could do a little guided meditation now that could get us in the right headspace to maybe play a psychic game. Okay, are you guys in the mood to do a quickie meditation?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to be using my notes just so you know. I'll be looking down, but your eyes are supposed to be closed. So definitely close your eyes, get into a comfy spot. Take a few deep breaths with me, in through your nose and out through your mouth. This breath, we're going to work on releasing energy through the bottom of your feet. See all the energy moving down, down, down through your body, all the way down to the bottoms of your feet where you do have energy centers. So you can send that energy down through the floor, down through the sidewalk, through the earth, all the way to the center of the earth. If you see a channel of energy, a channel of light moving from you all the way down to the center of the earth, it can fuel the earth and it can release from you. So take one more deep breath. Focus on your hands now. You also have energy centers in the palms of your hands. So you want to take your hands and put them on the table, a chair, something around you that can receive energy. And in the same way that we sent energy down through the bottom of your feet, we're going to take now the energy that's in your head and send it down through your neck, into your shoulders, through your upper arms, all the way down to your fingertips, and into the table, the chair, wherever you're touching that isn't you. Just take a few breaths and release. Keep seeing it go, go, go. And now, take your hands, both of them, and put them over your solar plexus, which is in your belly, right above your belly button. And you want to pat lightly on your solar plexus. We're working to activate and open the energy there so that you're ready to receive messages and energy. As you're patting, go in a clockwise direction, around like the clock, in the shape of a softball or the shape of the palm of your hand, that size. Because we want to open up that chakra just a little bit so it's ready to receive energy and messages. Take another breath, and you can stop patting. So pay attention to anything that you're sensing and feeling in this moment. Because we've moved through a lot of what was stuck, and now you're open to receive. Okay, move your hand up now to your heart chakra. Take a big breath. When your hand's at your heart chakra, you're connected to your ability to trust. You're trusting yourself in this moment. You're trusting the messages that are coming through for you. You're trusting that you're protected all the time, that Spirit is protecting you, guiding you. And now, believe in your ability to turn up the volume on your intuition. Sometimes when it's just a little whisper, remember you can ask for that voice to be louder. You can ask for that sensation to be louder. Trust that you can do that. Start to work with that every day. And also, you're learning how to turn down the volume on your fears. When your hand is over your heart, you can trust yourself. You don't have to be scared through this process today or this process ever of learning about your intuition. Those senses are within us for a reason. They're there to protect us and to guide us. And they were gifted to us even before we were born. We all have intuition. So trust that the messages that are coming to you are there for a reason. So take a couple of final deep breaths. And right now we're going to go back to your solar plexus. And we're going to do a little visualization. So your solar plexus is open. It's glowing a beautiful color, yellow, like the sun. And we're going to install 2 buttons, one on either side. Maybe we should call them knobs. On one side, we're going to have a red knob. And that red knob is going to signify fear. See, that's got numbers on it. They go from 1 to 10. So right now, visualize yourself turning down that knob. Slowly, slowly, slowly turning it down to a 1. And when you get to 1, you're in a space of trust. Fear doesn't have any space to come in. Just sit with that for a minute. It's kind of cool. It feels like an empowering energy for me. It feels safe. It feels different. I think we all kind of move through life with some level of fear. Just remember, we have installed this knob. It's yours. You know where you put it. You know it's got the numbers 1 to 10 on it. You can use this knob whenever you need to. Doesn't have to be in a meditation. It exists. So that means anytime you may be feeling something that's a little shaky, a little anxiety, go back to the knob. Remember that you have control over it. Check in with it every day. See what number it's at. Turn it down, dial it down. So now on the other side of your solar plexus, whichever one doesn't have a knob, we're going to install a blue one. And this blue knob also has the numbers 1 to 10. But this knob represents your intuition. That means at any time, you can turn that up. You are literally turning the volume up. And if you're having a day where maybe those messages are super loud and you just can't do it, you can turn it down because we've got the numbers 1 through 10. So take a moment with that knob that you've installed, the bright blue one that's new. Check in with it. What number is it on? You don't have to answer me right now, but try and remember what number that's on. Because I want to talk about where we're starting, what number that knob has. And now you want to take it slowly, gently, and turn it up. Maybe today isn't the day to be at a 10. Maybe today's the day to be at a 7. Just see how it feels and turn it up. So now that we've worked with installing those knobs, they're always there. They're always there with you. You're in control of them. You don't have to worry. So take one more breath. You're sitting with a new system. So you know that you can turn down the fears. You know you can turn up or down the intuition at will, whenever you want to. It's pretty cool. All right, so it's time for us to come back into the present moment. Wiggle your toes a little bit, wiggle your fingers a little bit, and when you're ready to, open your eyes. And you're going to see me open my eyes too. So did everybody come back to the present moment? I hear
Yes.
nothing. Oh, there we go. Everybody's back. Okay, awesome. Did anybody see a number on the knob for your intuition?
I did.
Yeah, what number
Or
was it?
I knew a number. I didn't see it.
Okay.
I had a number 4.
Okay. So you're kind of, you were playing it a little safe.
Yes. And then when I turned it up, I had an ear ringing, or my ear rang in the left ear.
Awesome. Okay, so you're in receiving mode. That's
Yes.
perfect for what we're going to do next. I love that. That's awesome. Okay, anybody else?
I turned mine down to a 5. It started at 10 and my ears rang, so I turned it down to a 5.
I love that we're all having ear ringing today. Good, good, good. Okay, 5 is a good place to be. You can always turn it up later if you need it. Christina, Pat, anything over there? Do you know what number you were at?
I was a 4 too.
Also, me too.
Oh, awesome. Okay. So that means that you're open enough to get the big messages when you need to, but maybe not so open that it distracts you from just going through life. And that's fine. Did you guys turn up your numbers at all?
I tried to a 7.
I tried to 5.
Okay. Awesome. So we've got a couple of 7s in the room right now and a couple of 5s. I love it. Just so we know where you're at. So now that we're connected sort of with more clarity and more awareness of how in control you really are over your intuition and the volume with it, where it works, we're going to test it out a little bit. Okay. So when I was a kid, I grew up in a psychic family where my gifts were celebrated. They weren't weird. Okay. Everybody was fine with it. They asked me what was going on. They supported my journey. Nobody in my family did any psychic work professionally, by the way. That's just me. So I would play these games with my mom where she would think of something and she would, the way that she explained it to me, she would send it from her third eye to my third eye. So she would work mostly with clairvoyance, with visual first with this game. She wouldn't tell me a category for it. She wouldn't give nothing. She would say nothing. And I would just close my eyes and breathe and see what I would receive. Because ultimately, our clairvoyance is like a movie screen in our heads. And that movie screen is like a blank screen. It can receive as long as you have a calm, clear mind. We just worked on that. We worked on turning up the intuition and turning down the fear. So we're in a good space to receive. So do you guys want to try that out? Do you want to try playing psychic game with me?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So this, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes again because it removes visual distraction. It's not like a meditation. We're working more with visualization right now and your clairvoyance. Although with your other psychic abilities or intuitive abilities and intuitive centers, you may get it in a different way. You may smell it, taste it, feel it. Don't judge anything that comes through. Just sort of stick with what you're seeing. Okay. So I'm going to create an image in my mind and just think of yourself in this visualization like you're an old-fashioned TV with the antennas on top. I'm sure we all know what that looks like, even if we didn't actually experience it in our lifetime. But those antennas on top of a TV, they extend out. So don't leave your antennas short, pull them way up. And once they're way up, you're going to be able to pick up on the signal stronger. So focus for a minute on what I'm sending you. Remember, pay attention if it's a color, a shape, flavor, smell, sound. And just breathe and see what shows up. See what's showing up on your TV screen or any of your senses around this item. If you're not seeing anything yet, it's okay. Be patient with yourself. This is new. This is all a new system, right? So in the same way you have a couple of knobs that we installed for you, there's also knobs on the TV and an old-fashioned TV. That's how you would work to kind of, tune it in, right? So mess with those knobs on the TV a little bit. Just wiggle those knobs. And I'm still sending you the message, the image, the thing that I want you to pick up on. So mess with the knobs a little on the TV. Is it getting any clearer yet? All right, just breathe. No impatience, guys. It's okay. So I'm Greek, and my grandfather, we called him Papu. What he would do if the TV didn't work is he'd walk over to it and he'd give it a kick, or he'd punch the top of it. So if your TV is still being a little sluggish, you can do fun things like that to get the image to come in clearer. Okay, I'm making the image brighter and stronger. Brighter, stronger, bigger, brighter. Take one more deep breath. And then open your eyes. And when you think you know what it was, or if you can describe what it was in some way, just go ahead and let me know what you saw. Because I'll reveal it, but I want to see what you guys got.
So I saw a sailboat and could feel the ocean rolling, and then red lipstick showed up.
Okay. I love that. Anybody else?
I saw the color reddish orange at the very beginning. And then I saw clouds and water, you know, whether it's the lake or the ocean or whatever.
Okay.
I
Christina,
saw
what about you?
I saw a cartoonish blue car, and it was kind of on like green grass, but the grass was real.
Okay, awesome. Stephanie?
I saw Tweety Bird.
Okay, I love it. So I'm going to narrow it down a little bit. So this is the first time that you guys have done this with me in this way. I will share, number one, it is much easier to play psychic games in the same room with someone where your energy is much closer and there's no electronics in the way. Okay. But each of you picked up on something that was either around me in my environment or a color or an aspect of what I was sending. So two of you got the color red. I was sending a strawberry. Two of you got water and the color blue and sky and things like that. It's a sunny day for me. I live very close to the lake. The sky is very blue. The curtains that are in front of me, like behind my computer, are a sky blue color. I have 3 birds in my room. So Stephanie, you picking up on Tweety Bird is not odd to me at all. I have lots of representations of birds in my space also. And the paint on the walls in my living room is yellow. So you see how everybody got a piece of it, right? If we focus more and if we practice this more, the shape, the color, the thing becomes clearer. But this is also how we learn to work more with the visual sense, because all of you were working with that screen, right? Did anybody feel an emotion or a sensation that went along with the visual that you think could have matched? I mean, other than strawberries are a summertime thing, and you guys, well, at least a couple of you got outdoor summery images. Did anybody feel anything else that could have been connected to a food or a flavor?
I didn't.
No.
Yeah, you might not have, because we were working more with the visual sense. So what you've learned is that this is something like, especially with Christina and Pat, since you're together, you could do this type of thing multiple times throughout the day. The more you do it, the better you get. Okay. And Stephanie and Deb, you can take it and do it with people around you. It's fun to do it. It's fun to work on it more. I will say that it was something that I did a few times a day for my whole life. And even now, I'm not perfect at it. Okay. I'm good when I'm in a session, yes. But sending and receiving specific images, it's a little bit difficult, but fun, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys have any questions about how that game could work? Like, you can narrow it down, by the way. I'll get more specific. You can tell the person that you're working with, your like psychic game partner, that it's a shape or a fruit or an animal or whatever. You can give it a category, which will make it a little bit easier in the beginning to have more wins. But definitely chart and track your progress. Okay.
Yeah,
It's
my
fun.
friends and I actually used to do it with movies where we'd pick a movie actor and you could only ask yes or no questions until you figured it out. And there were a couple instances where I would like know exactly like who the actor was before we even got started.
That's awesome. Yeah, sometimes it's very present, and definitely when there's a group of people, it's sort of like the battery is stronger and it's easier to see it sometimes. So yeah, that definitely works. Does anybody else have any questions before I kind of go on to the next little piece?
No.
No, we're good? Okay, awesome. So we've installed that intuition button, right? We've got a volume button there. We've got a fear button that goes up and down. But another way that you can actually increase the volume on your intuition is to learn how to turn down the volume on everything else. One of the practices that's really good is to every night before you go to bed, work to turn down the volume, both literally and figuratively. So what that means is buffering out the extra noise when you're sleeping actually will help your dream state. So rather than having a TV talking at you that your mind can create dreams around that may confuse you, whether it's a psychic dream or whether it's something about the movie that was playing on the TV when you were asleep, turning that down, turning the TV down or off is good. Gets rid of the electronics that will also stimulate you and keep you in a lighter version of sleep. Creating something like a sound distraction with a sound machine or turning up a fan will give you white noise, which is a great background for your intuitions to come through, your messages to come through. And then grabbing a couple of different crystals that I feel really amplify your third eye chakra, which is where you're going to dream, where you're going to get more of those messages and visuals. The one that I like the best is fluorite. Do you guys, is anybody familiar with this stone? I think you can see that.
Yes.
So this is a really light lavender fluorite with purple and blue in it. So fluorite comes in a rainbow of colors. A lot of fluorite that you're finding now is green, but if you can get it where it's got like that turquoise blue and purple, that's going to combine throat chakra, third eye chakra, and crown chakra. So your messages are going to come through in the spots that you want them to. Having something like this on your bedside table, wearing a pendant if you're comfortable sleeping with a pendant on, putting it in a pouch in your pillowcase, any way that you can get it close to your throat, third eye, and crown is going to amplify your dreams. But again, blue, purple, lavender are the best. And if you don't have fluorite in those colors and you want to use an alternate stone, most people have amethyst in something, right? This one is actually called ametrine because the tip of it has citrine. So it's a blend of the two. You probably can't see it, but it's up in the top here. There's a little glint of yellow. So this ametrine would connect solar plexus and third eye so that you may sense more or wake up with more of a feeling when you're working with a stone like ametrine or just a straight amethyst around you in the same way as the fluorite to enhance the dream state. Both fluorite and amethyst, by the way, are super calming stones. So even carrying them with you during the day will keep some of that mental clutter down so that you can hear your intuition more. They will keep you aware, and both are good protection stones. They're lighter than working with a protection stone like obsidian or black tourmaline. Those are very grounding. These are going to keep you in your upper spirit chakras. Okay, does that make sense?
Yep.
I think Gigi thinks it makes sense.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Okay, awesome. Do you guys ever work with crystals? And I think I know a couple of you do. I just don't know about Christina and Pat.
I have crystals. I don't think I've come across it since I moved here, but I'm gonna look for it. Like I had a whole tray of different stones and different gems and stuff.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, dig it out. See if you can find a good piece of amethyst or fluorite, purple or blue fluorite to have with you. Just because when you have them in your environment, it is going to just put that gentle energy around to remind you, hey, yeah, I want to feel things more. I want to invite this in. I mean, you're taking this class, so that means that you guys want to invite in more messages, more opportunities to connect in a more magical way in your days, right? Life can get super boring, repetitive, day in and day out, unless we bring a little magic. So yeah, grab some stones, have them around you, purple and blue stones. These are not the only two, by the way. There are tons of other ones. I previously did a crystal class that worked with emotions. And one of the stones that we talked about for the girls who were there is blue apatite, which is another stone to enhance your intuition. and I don't have it next to me, which makes me a bad girl for not being prepared. Anyway, blue apatite is another one for intuition. So that would be more for hearing things. So clairaudience, because it's connected to throat chakra. So yay. All right, I'm moving down to the next tip for you, which is a really important one, I feel. I talked a little bit about buffering out electronics, like by turning off the TV at night when you're sleeping. The electronic energy can be a distraction when you're early in the process of learning to trust your intuition or wanting to make it louder. So giving yourself a break every day from electronics, doing a technology fast is a great way. Even if you just start with maybe an hour a day detoxing from technology, that would be great. It could be also combining it with another process like going out in nature, going for a walk, hanging out on your back porch if you have one, connecting with your doggies. Just breaking the cycle of constantly having electronics in front of our eyes, ears, and in our energy field. The longer you can do it, obviously, the better it is for your intuition, for you to be able to come from that space of like peace and calm. Because technology is very disruptive. We're always distracted by something else, another notification on your phone, another notification on the computer. Hey, a commercial break on TV is also a distraction from focus, right? I like to think about what life would look like if we had maybe 4 or 5 hours a day without technology. How would that be? Like intentional 4 or 5 hours a day. You could even just read a book, go back to basics, the things that help us be more in touch with our emotions and not distract us. I think a lot of us do use electronics because we have to, obviously, for our careers, but we use it as a place to jump into so that we're not feeling. So give it a try. Start with an hour a day, little detox. Does that make sense to you guys? Like how it can impact and block you from actually receiving messages?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's real hard. I mean, we even have it in cars, right? Like everything's a notification or whatever.
It'll be interesting to see if I can go to sleep without forensic files on the TV.
That would be a start. Yeah, because if you think about that, that's a show like that makes you think. So it keeps your gray matter brain in the driver's seat, right? So it's going to be chattering, thinking, calculating, figuring, and all that. And you're going to fall asleep and stay in more of a lighter sleep state rather than a dream state, So, yeah, maybe turning that, if you can't sleep with it off, turn it down first. So cut the volume in half. And then the next day, maybe a quarter. So it's just a whisper. And then try for quiet or a fan.
Thank
Does
you.
anybody else have that habit of having the TV on?
Yeah, most of the time I have it on during the day, just to hear voices.
So wouldn't it be fun if maybe the voices that you started hearing were the intuitive voices more? And then you could start to track that and give yourself credit when you're right. So it's an interesting segue into what I was going to talk about next, the next idea, which is keeping a journal or a space where you can write down your visions, your images, your senses of things so that you can actually go back and give yourself credit when you're right. Because this is a really important tool in developing that trust in your intuition, trusting the voice, the feeling, the sense, is to actually write it down and give it a voice, because sometimes when we go through life, I think we have more senses, more awareness than we believe. And it'll be a thought, and then you're like, oh, cool, that happened. And then you've like moved on to something else. You kind of forget that you were right? So I'm going to show you something that I created, which kind of goes along with this, which is called my inner voice journal. So there are journaling pages with prompts on them, spaces for you to write things down, some positive affirmations, a meditation or two. You know, it's got some good ideas, but it also has a lot of like space, open space for you to write. You don't have to get my book, obviously, but it is an idea for you. I'll put a link in the chat window later. But does anybody do that now? Does anybody like actually give yourself credit for when you write? Track the progress?
I
No.
keep it dream journal. That sometimes I do go back to, because I dream all the time, and sometimes I know when I have dreams that have like specific symbology within them, and then I like will look up what those things mean. And so sometimes I do go back to see like, oh yeah, I forgot about that dream and that did happen, or that connection there. So
Oh, good. So you could branch off on your dream journal and have an intuition journal too. So your like literal daydreams, right? Because sometimes our intuition can feel like it's in dream form. It doesn't always look, feel, or sound like reality. Sometimes it just like jumps in and you're like, what's that?
yeah.
But if you write them down too, then you're going to have it at night and during the day. So that's a great idea. Does anybody else do that? Anybody else track progress?
No,
No.
but they stand out in my mind. I know when I was right. Do you know, I will never forget the times that are,
You won't forget those times. Yeah,
yeah, I don't
that's
forget
good. But
because
if
they,
you, sorry, go
that's
ahead.
okay. It's just, I remember them because they were so important to what I was doing or waiting for or something like that.
Okay, if you write them down, if you take the time to write them down, you're creating more, let's see, let me say it this way. You're holding them in the higher regard. So when universe sees us write something down, like when we want to manifest something, if we write it down rather than just think it into the world, if we make it tangible, universe says, oh, yes, you're serious about it. So if you start to track those things, even if you go back in your history a little bit and you do like your top 10 list of times where your intuition was right, then universe is going to say, oh, she likes this, she wants more of it. So it's going to bring you those messages faster. It's like you're affirming, yes, this is what I saw, this is how right I was, this is what I want to do more of. Okay, so that's the power of pen and paper. Again, an electronic list is not going to be as powerful in universal terms because there's a lot of electronic distractions. Pen to paper, universe is like, aha, they're actually using a pen. They're not using a pencil that can be erased. They're not using a phone that could, you know, like you can hit delete. It's pen to paper, so it's real. Okay, so I would do that. I would do that as just for fun for you, because then you'll have this very traceable list of experiences. Okay, and I think it'll be fun just for your family legacy too. It could be something you guys do together. So you remind each other, you know, you get to be a team, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I love that. And what about you, Deb? Do you ever write down your stuff?
Funny you should ask that. I did. So in my work, I used to take my laptop when I visited with people and take notes that way. But
Mhm.
now I go in with a journal and I physically write things down. It helps me to remember it and remember the story associated with it, as opposed to just typing it. But
Mhm.
as far as intuition, no, I haven't done that. And guys, I've been working with Pandora on bringing things out and using some of her skills. So it's interesting. She wants me to do more writing.
Yes. More writing. Yes, because you write all the time. I know that, but you can write more and more fun stuff so you can remember it. Okay, speaking of writing, I'm putting the link in the chat for the journal in case anyone wants to go peek at it. Excuse me. Okay. It would have been easier if I had copied and pasted. Sorry for the delay. Okay. I have a few other journals and things there too. I was just looking, the only other note that I gave myself about that, about giving yourself credit, is to like make it a fun experience. So writing it down and maybe going back and putting a gold star on it, or some sort of silly, cute little sticker, you know, because the experience, like playing with it, enjoying it, being like a kid in a candy store, literally, because these are new skills in some cases, or maybe old ones that we're brushing off. It really does help. And I know I said during the meditation or visualization that our intuition developed before we got here. So I want to go a little deeper into that idea. Is we are all born with that ability to see, hear, feel, sense. It is innate. It happens in the animal world as well. A lot of our pets are nonverbal, but they sense things. They sense danger. They see things. They feel things sometimes, and most times. They sense when we need them, whether it's an emotional need, a physical need. They know, and they just show up. I have a couple of my dogs. I have 4 little dogs. A couple of my dogs will come to me and sit on my lap, or if I'm lying on a couch or something, they will sit on my chest before anxiety hits, because they sense it. They know intuitively that something is going to occur that they're needed for, and they show up. So we as children are so much closer to our intuition and our psychic senses, because the world hasn't trained us out of it yet. That's why a lot of kids, even leading up to age 8 or 9, when they get a little deeper in school, still will remember their past lives. They may be very specific about past life experiences and events, because it's not trained out of them. They're not distracted all the time by other things. They can see it, hear it, feel it. Did any of you guys have an imaginary friend as a kid?
Yes.
Christine,
Okay. So do you think that imaginary friend is really imaginary? Or were you talking to a spirit?
I don't think it was imaginary. No.
There you go. That's because your intuition, your psychic ability to connect with other realms was still very present. So I believe in some cases our imaginary friends may be our buddies from previous lifetimes, who might not be in a body right now. Maybe they're just in spirit and you're doing a little channeling session to hang out with them. So we can plug back into that intensity of intuition and psychic ability that we came into this lifetime with through practice. So the psychic game, the knobs that we installed, using those more regularly, tracking your progress, playing with energy in general is another way that you can start to work on feeling and sensing in a different way. So psychometry is when you hold an item and pick up on things from it. So we talked a little at the beginning about how some psychic mediums hold on to an object and they read that object. That's psychometry. But you can do that as well by holding an item and seeing what you feel. That's how I started to learn about crystals when I was a kid, was holding them and seeing what I felt from them. What were they telling me? Where did they want me to hold them? Whether it was in my hand, did they want to go on a chakra? Did they want to go by my feet? This crystal is, I can't really see it. It's smoky quartz. And this is just an example. I'm describing it because it was on my desk. Usually when I sense energy from an item, I will use my non-dominant hand. I write with my right hand, so I'll put whatever it is that I want to feel something from in my left hand. It would be the opposite if you're a left-handed person, because I know we have at least one in the room. So closing your eyes, quieting your mind, taking a few deep breaths. When you're holding something, an item will get you some clearer messages. Have you guys ever tried that, whether it's with a crystal or whether maybe it's something very simple, like if you hold your favorite teddy bear from when you were a kid in your hands, you may be flooded with that emotion of security or love for that item. Have you guys ever done that or noticed that you've done it? Let's put it that way.
I haven't.
No? Okay. Well, get to doing that because
Yes.
you already know that you've got your energy centers open over there, Pat. Start working with those crystals when you find them. And I'm going to throw this out there. Use your psychic ability, your intuition, and your general vibes to find that box. Maybe you just want to ask that box to get louder so that you can find it in the house so you can get to your crystals so you can start using them. So Deb, you said, I heard a yes from you.
That was
Yes,
from
I've
me.
been doing more with crystals.
What have they told you? Do you remember like either a message or a sensation?
So this rose quartz that I just got, I've been holding it in my non-dominant hand. It's cold when I first pick it up, and then it gets really warm, and it's very soothing, relaxing, really quiets me down.
That's awesome. So the stone getting warm means that you are actually receiving the energy and or sending your energy through it and then receiving. So that sense of temperature change is a good way to know that you're actually activating that chakra in that hand. So I would look for that as a clue as well. So when you guys are picking up on something, an item, and you want to feel something intuitively from it, pay attention to the temperature change. Even if you think that object won't change temperature, it will. Like if you hold on to a watch and you send energy through it or you activate the energy in that chakra, that item is going to get hot. It's really cool. Haha. What about you, Steph?
Yeah, I've done it where I've actually slept with crystals in my receiving hand and seen what images I get from like dreams. And I think one of them that's the most prominent one is prior to me like relocating here to California. I remember sleeping with a citrine in my hand and getting like a salary number in my dream, and then that like actually happened to the salary I got for my California job.
Okay, I love that. That needs to go in your journal, by the way.
I think
That's
it actually is in my journal from my dream journal. Yeah.
Okay, good, because that's a big win as far as an intuitive message. Yeah,
Yeah, it
that's
was
really
only
strong.
off by like I don't even know, maybe like 10,000, but it was like, okay, this is happening. So yeah, it was really
Okay. And do you remember what stone you were holding?
yeah, I was holding my citrine,
An
manifesting
abundance stone.
abundance. Yes,
Yep.
yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love it. Okay, Christina, I don't think we heard from you about whether you've worked with holding something and picking up on something.
I've tried, but really never felt like it was working, so I kind of gave up.
So there's that trusting self, right? We've got the trust knob that you can use. When you're feeling like something isn't working, one of the simplest ways also to plug into trust is to put your hand over your heart. So placing hand in the center of the chest, so heart chakra, and holding the item, whatever it is, breathing, making sure that you're in a quiet space, making sure that you've done some of the pre-work that you need to do, and then not getting impatient with yourself. You know, these are sometimes very gentle messages that we receive, which obviously is why I'm always want to help you to turn the volume up, but to recognize that it's not going to be perfect the first time. So that psychic game that we played, I have a friend who is also an intuitive, and I did a live with him on YouTube and Facebook last week, kind of talking about intuition and building your intuition. We each took a turn sending an image like we did here to each other. And even though he and I have both been doing it for now, if you add our abilities together, almost 70 years, neither one of us got the other person's message right. And we work with energy and messages every day, all day, every day. So even we can't get impatient with ourselves sometimes when it doesn't work, right? So slow and steady, practice, practice, practice. That is like the number one thing. And to enjoy the journey, you know, sometimes laughing at yourself when you get impatient, laughing when whatever it is isn't working, and just saying, okay, I guess this isn't the moment for it. And then walk away, come back, you know, just try it again. It's sort of, I mean, they always say like riding a bike, right? You never forget. Sometimes you get some bruises when you're trying to get back on that bike after a decade, right? You know, so be gentle. So I want to jump forward, unless you guys have any questions at this point. I'm going to jump
I
forward to
just,
another idea.
I did want to mention that when I pay attention, and this came from you helping me, to the fear, like, why am I afraid? It helps to calm that down. Like, what, you don't need to be afraid. Turn the fear down. So giving me that little red button is kind of a cool thing.
Oh, I
Red
love that.
knob.
Good. I'm glad that you have your red knob now. The other thing that I find that works with fear or hesitation is to sometimes watch out the language that you're using. So a lot of times, especially right now, it's a very well repeated phrase. I have anxiety. So when someone says I have or I am anxious, they're claiming that they have it. So they're affirming that they have it. But sometimes that anxiety or that anxiousness is actually the wrong word for what you're having. So maybe you're having anticipation. So changing the word, shifting how you're viewing something really changes it. But changing the language and then taking the I am or I have away from negative aspects in your life. So a lot of times we judge ourselves harshly, like I was saying with Christina, and maybe getting impatient. Oh, this is never going to work, or I'm no good at this. Deleting those phrases when they pop up, because those, again, are distractions. That's the brain distracting us from the thing that we want to try and get good at. So you've got to delete, cancel the negative messages, or change the language in a positive way, flip the script on it so that you're not allowing that energy to continue. Does that make sense? Okay, awesome. Yay. So this next idea with turning up the volume on your intuition happens to me a lot. And you guys may have this experience too, but you might not necessarily think that it is intuition. Do you guys ever get messages from music that either remind you of a person or that are like very specific to the situation that you're going through at that moment?
I do regularly from my father.
Yep,
Before he passed,
good.
that's like how I told him I wanted him to come through, and it happens quite often. And I always like take a pause and acknowledge it. It's really, really cool.
That's awesome. So I would connect like the music messages to me are definitely coming from spirit, right? So crown chakra, especially with your dad, because you're connecting to a spirit source. Or in other cases, when it's not directly coming from him, it could be coming from spirit in general, or someone else in your soul group on the other side who wants to get you a message. We can also ask for messages in music. That's the other thing with intuition, is that we can actually ask for it to come through. Like, I need a message right now. I need some help. Who's out there who's going to help me make this decision? Who's out there who's going to give me a sense of where I should be going, what I should be doing, how I should be focused right now in this moment? And then open yourself to receive the message. But those are the times, like even without asking, music pops up a lot. I have a person who's very close to me, kind of like an honorary family member. And sometimes when we're together, we will both start at the exact same moment humming the exact same song. And we don't know really ever which came first, the chicken or the egg, which one of us started it, or whether we're both getting it from outside of ourselves. Usually it was a message specific to something that the two of us were doing. So we think it's a family member who's passed on giving us a message too. So Do the rest of you who haven't spoken yet have any experiences with messages in music?
Yeah, sometimes I hear something on the radio and I think of someone right away and they usually have passed. So I thank them. And
Yeah,
yes,
you thank them
Right.
for coming in, right? And giving you that little hello.
yes.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
What,
And
Christina,
some,
any for you?
yeah, I mean, there are sometimes where, a specific song will come on and, that's the song I associate with my father. So I'll just say, hi, Dad.
Okay, awesome. So now we've got, well, including myself, we've got four people who are talking about the music being messages from someone on the other side, likely someone on the other side, right? Deb, have you ever gone through that?
I hear a song and it takes me right back to the time when I first heard that song. So 70s music, I'm doing some things I probably shouldn't have been doing, but boy, did I have a good time. I mean, it makes me happy.
Yeah. Okay, good. So that might be your higher self taking you to a place where your energy was completely vastly different from what your energy is right now. So maybe you need a little vacation, and that's why that message is going to come up in that way. But if you start to ask for specific messages in music, like I need a sign today, or what should I do? How can I shake myself up? And then see if maybe that word or that idea comes up in the next song or two that comes on. Okay, so play with that a little bit. Another thing that I have worked with is books, and I'm looking, I don't have one, but I'll use this, my journal as an option. So any book you can do this with. I would turn the book upside down and I would say, what do I need to know now? And just thumb through the book, maybe take a couple of breaths and then stop on a page and turn around. And what's the first thing that your eyes fall on? It usually has a message in there. Oh boy, the font is very small. Please excuse me while I read what the message is that I just stopped on. No matter how much you revisit the past, there is nothing new to see there. So if I take that message for myself, that does kind of make sense because I've been doing a lot more reflection as I move forward. So I like to look back. I like to kind of examine maybe where I was or what I was doing, the choices that I made, and how it got me to here. Sort of like when we're faced with choices and challenges in life, I call it a psychic fork in the road or a spiritual fork in the road, right? So I've been looking back over my forks in the road, like what would have happened if I turned left instead of turning right at this point in my life? Where would I have ended up? So that message is telling me not to do that as much. So that's just one experience or one example. Have you guys ever tried that with a book?
No, but that's pretty powerful what you just said.
Yeah, it's fun. And really, it could be any kind of a book because your intuition is going to guide you to like stop at the right page to get you something of importance. Okay, so even if you're using a textbook, for instance, or a romance novel, it doesn't matter really what it is. There's going to be something that your eyes fall on. It sometimes may only be a word or two that you see and you're like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I needed to hear right now.
I like those, you see them on Facebook or Twitter. Pick up the book to your left and go to page 17, the third sentence. What does it say? Those are always fun to play with.
Those are definitely fun to play with. This is just kind of another version of that. This one
Yeah.
is a little bit more free for you to pick up on it. But I like working with messages in that way. And for those of you who might not know, I post like an oracle card of the day or tarot card of the day post on my Instagram and TikTok and Facebook every day. And that's a way that I get a message as well, like a theme for the day. So if you guys have an oracle deck, tarot deck, if you just shuffle and say, what do I need to know now? And pull one card and let that be the space that you focus from for your whole day, that can also get you to open up to more experiences, more intuitions, more energy, right? Do I have one here? I don't have a deck next to me. Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do. I'm going to do it for us right now and see if we get something interesting, since we've been talking so much about intuition. This is a deck of cards called the Healing Energy cards. I work with these a lot. And the other thing, when you pull a card every day, it's something that can be really powerful. Like maybe you'll pull it in the morning and you don't think about it all day, and then you look at it again when you get home at night and you're like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I needed today. All right, and I just thought of one more thing that I need to talk about. All right, so this is the card that I pulled for all of us, and it's very, oops, let's come this way. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's got 2 feet on it, and it's got some swirls connected to where I perceive the energy centers to be on the bottom of the feet. Okay. And it says soul chakras, balance, ground and anchor the ideas, healing and changes into your life. Feet planted in the physical world, get to the root of the situation. So grounding ourselves and getting to like the root, the core of the energy, pulling it out into the center of the earth is what we did. This is a good reminder to do this on a daily basis, to ground your energy, because what can happen when we're looking for signs too often in the up there, out there, right? Trusting our intuition maybe too much above all else, is we can feel a little out of balance, a little dizzy, a little maybe distracted because we're listening with our spiritual ears more than our earth ears. So by grounding the energy, it keeps you balanced. So you keep your feet firmly planted or your energy firmly rooted, so that what's going on in your intuitive centers will not take you off balance. After doing a meditation, do you guys ever feel a little lightheaded or maybe a disoriented feeling?
Yes.
So that would be a time to stomp your feet, come back into your grounding. Okay. And I think remembering that this is part of the journey, right? We've got to anchor it to the earth. So if we were a helium balloon, you let go of a helium balloon, it just keeps going, 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 right? You have to make sure that that string is attached. So attach yourself to the earth when you're doing this kind of practice. Okay. Do you guys have any question about like that idea with pulling an oracle card and how it can like open you up? Like for instance, I'll interrupt my own self. If I had picked that card first thing this morning and done the practice of grounding like I usually do, that's great. But then by the end of the day, doing all of the work that I do, all of the readings that I do, all of the connecting through mediumship, if I hadn't stuck with that plan and kept regrounding myself, I would have looked at my altar where I would have placed the card at the end of the night and said, oh, that's why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling, because I forgot, right? It would act as a reminder like, hey, you were supposed to do this today. Spirit gave you this message at the beginning of the day. Make sure that you're following up with it at the end of the night. Okay. Do any of you have oracle or tarot decks around that you work with regularly?
I have them at my house, a couple of different decks.
Are they tarot or what
Yes.
kind? Tarot? Okay.
And another one is angels. I think I have 3 decks.
Okay. So for my personal practice, I always find that like an oracle deck, like your angel deck, may be a little bit more powerful to do the card of the day pull with, rather than tarot that can be a little bit more complex or complicated, unless you're a highly skilled tarot reader, and then you'll be fine looking at the cards. What about you, Stephanie? Do you do a card a day?
I don't do a card a day, but I do have a couple oracle decks. But I should get better at doing that. I really like that idea of like kind of setting an intention for the day, and even kind of setting it and then forgetting about it and then coming back to it and realizing like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
kind of
probably
see
a
how it went,
good
right?
message I needed." Yeah.
Yeah. That's
My
awesome.
dog agrees too.
She does agree. And she's also going to tell the entire world that she agrees. Okay. Sorry, guys. Deb, do you do? I can't remember if you answered. Do you use
Well,
a card or anything?
I actually took some index cards. God, this was 20 years ago, and put some collected pictures over the course of about half a year of things I wanted and or sayings that I liked, and put them on the index card. I kind of made my own little thing. And when I remember to do it, I'll pull one of those and, randomly, and look at it and go, oh yeah, okay. The other day I pulled one of a woman at the beach in an outfit that I now own. It's like, oh my God, this is me. I can retire this card because I accomplished that thing.
Oh, that's awesome. I love the idea of creating your own cards or your own, even just powerful words, right?
Yeah.
So maybe don't retire her, maybe frame her and put her in a place of honor because you accomplished it.
Oh, there's an idea. Okay.
Don't it? Yeah, celebrate that win. That's a big win. I love it. I love it. So the last thing that I wanted to talk about for you guys is something that is only just a little bit of, I would say, caution, especially when you're working with your intuition, is that sometimes we can have issues where we get confused, whether it's intuition or illusion. So, how do you tell the difference between intuition and illusion? An illusion might be that you're believing that the flash that you just got, which might be an illusion of fear, right? Or a dangerous situation, or, oh my gosh, my friend hasn't called me back in an hour. They must be dead, right? Like sometimes our brains can take it to an extreme with illusion. Way that you tell the difference between an illusion and an intuition is to take a few minutes and come back to your center, come back to your heart. Truly put your hands over your heart chakra, breathe. Remember to trust yourself. Remember that you are safe. Okay. Sometimes the affirmation, I am safe, will be enough and powerful enough to ground you into the moment so that you can then check in and say, that image, that thought, that feeling, that sense I just had, let me go back to it. Is that real? Can I trust that that is intuition, or was that illusion? And if it was illusion, what is that trying to tell me? So when the illusions happen, sometimes they're trying to show us that there might be something that we're not working with well with our energy, right? That there might be too much anxiety that we're not releasing, too much overthinking, too much fear, right? So that may be a sign when those illusions come up instead of intuition, to take the time to recenter to your heart chakra and your trust, to go to your knob, go to your blue knob, turn up your intuition volume all the way to 10 in that moment so you can have the clarity, so you can hear the message at its loudest and best. The other thing that I would do in that moment is physically remove myself from where I am. So I would get up, walk around the room, or get up, walk outside, take a breath, and then check in with that message again and ask yourself, is this something I can trust? Is this something that I really need to be aware of? Or was this just some extra energy I need to purge? Okay. Have you guys had moments like that? Because I think we probably all have, where we got a sense of something and it might have been tragic or dramatic, but it was not actually an intuitive flash.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And so tracking those as well, I think is a good idea, because then you're going to know kind of where your energy is sitting. I, over the course of my life, have dealt with periods of anxiety, periods of working through post-traumatic stress from a health issue, things like that, where I've been kind of on high alert. So those illusion moments usually come from you being on high alert. So don't get mad at yourself for the illusions, but just use some tools to check back into the intuition, right? And also turn the volume down on the fear voice, because the illusion generally comes from a fear space. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So has anybody else had that experience of an illusion versus an intuition?
Well, Christina's been in Chicago for how many years? 3, 4?
4, yeah.
4. And she kept bugging me to come out. We lived in Massachusetts for most of our lives. And I went back and forth in my head, and some of it, I said, oh, I don't want to live on top of other people. And here I am in a high rise. But once I got to the point that, yeah, that was, I had a knowing that it was right for me to come out here. But I
Mhm.
had to go through a lot of junk in my head, like living on top of other people. So
Good, good. Well, I'm glad that you worked through it, and I'm glad that Chicago called you in. It's fun here. We got lots of good stuff, and we've got lots of water. Yeah.
one funny thing is when I was debating and think of everything. I mean, I usually go to the negative first because I figure if I think the worst thing, then most likely it won't be that bad. But I found a lipstick at the store, and I looked at the bottom, and the name of it was Chicago, and I was like, okay.
Well, there's a sign,
Yes.
right? That's even more powerful than a sign through music or through a book. They got it in lipstick in your hot little hand. I love it. That's amazing. I think you kind of have to have that lipstick just around you, right? As a
Oh, I
reminder.
do, and I took a picture of it and sent it to everyone I knew. But
That's awesome. I love that story. Yeah, see, those are the stories you write down. Okay, those
Okay.
are the ones you put a big gold star on that says, "Hey, look what universe got through to me." It takes a lot of hard work for there to, number one, be a lipstick named Chicago
I
that was
know.
close enough to you, right? And to get your hand to pick it up, I mean, come on, that's some big stuff right here. So, and take credit for that, because universe put it out there for you so that you get the reminder, but you had to respond to the messages, right?
Mhm.
So that's awesome. That's amazing. And Christina, have you had any experiences like that with maybe the illusion versus intuition?
I'm trying to think. I can't think of any.
Okay. Well, that's good. That means that you're probably controlling your intuition, making it loud enough just by your nature at your number 4, or whatever, you turned it up to 7 now, 4 or 5 first. But I think that knowing that it's a possibility, illusions are always a possibility, not a probability, but that you know how to work through them is really important.
Mhm.
And Steph, any of that for you?
I can't think of anything specific, but I think it really comes down to like discernment and me being able to kind of discern like it's just like it just happens versus like what is an intentional kind of message.
Hmm. Yeah. And it's good if you're present enough in the moment and not distracted by all the things around you. You'll be able to discern a lot better and easier, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure, for sure. So I'm gonna I have to type again. So it'll take me a second. Um, oh, that's longer than I thought it was going to be. Anyway, I am going to be doing this again, because I know I had fun, and I think you guys had fun. But I'm doing a class June 17th, and it's called Allowing Your Intuition to Guide You. So today we talked about more about how to turn the volume up, but the idea of allowing intuition to guide you and being in that trusting space is something that I want to focus on more in the next class. So it's going to be from 1 to 2:30 again on the 17th. And I'm typing now, so you have it. And there's a code, third eye, which will give you $25 off just for you guys because you're special. If you want to sign up for that class before June 1st. So one more second. Sorry, guys. Go ahead and ask me questions if you have them about anything that we've talked about or anything that I might have missed today.
Third eye, is that all small letters or? Oh, I guess
Yes,
it
all
is.
small letters.
Okay.
And all one, not 2 words. I smushed it all together as one.
Do you have the link for that yet, or you'll email it to us?
I'm typing. I am typing slowly. Sorry, guys. Almost there.
My general question too sometimes is like those angel numbers you get, like like the meaning behind them. Like, how is there a way we can tell when those are things like from the universes for versus like from our guides or from loved ones, or just I don't know.
So with that, there are ways to tell, but it's a system that you have to set up yourself.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is angel numbers and the idea of repeated numbers is something that there is a system already that's set up. Anybody can Google angel number and then 723, like that's
Yeah.
my birthday, right? And then it'll
Yeah.
give me their ideas and impressions. A lot of angel numbers are based on numerology. So if you delve more into the world of numerology, then you're going to naturally have more of a sense of the angel number process. But if you were asking for a message from spirit or an idea from maybe a loved one in spirit, say, let me know that you're around by letting me see this number. Maybe they're going to use the birth date. Maybe that's the system that you set up. Or maybe you're going to say, I want to see the numbers 777 when you're around. Or it's the same thing if you're asking for them to show you a message or a sign in the form of an animal or something.
Got it.
You set up the system. Okay.
So you like verbally set that up with them. If not,
I find that that's the most effective,
okay,
is to set it up to be more specific. The general messages that are coming through are going to be more general from spirit, right? So it might be something that you need to hear, and you will see it usually more than once. So the first time that you see 1111, it's not going to be specific. It's going to be opening the pathway to more messages. So then you pay attention to when it's happening or where you are when it's happening. And then that pattern develops, right?
got it.
So you want to set up a pattern or a system with your loved one in spirit so that you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that it's them. Like, for instance, every loved one in spirit, they will get their message through no matter how hard they have to do it. If they give it to you, they're going to give it to you. If you're not paying attention, they're going to try and give that same message or sign that you've set up with them to someone around you in their environment. I'm using this as an example. So my mother was an actress and she wore wigs in many of her roles. So my whole childhood, there were wig boxes, there were bobby pins everywhere. A lot of her roles, she was wearing red wigs. So she started very soon after she passed. It was maybe a week after she passed. When she wanted my attention or when she felt that I needed her, there would be a red bobby pin in my path. I don't have any in my house. This would happen on the street in Chicago.
Wow.
Even was so specific that I was going through a process of like getting rid of a person in my life who wasn't maybe healthy for me, that 2 red bobby pins showed up in the bathroom of my office space where nobody has wigs. So
Wow.
anyway, I mean, so
Really
they
cool.
will go above and beyond. I mean, I
Yeah.
frequently have them show up bobby pin messages to my friends around me. So Steph, for instance, if you ask your dad to start showing numbers, you're going to get repeated messages to you, but you're also going to get it in your environment. Maybe it's going to be your total at the cafe, right? It's just going to show up.
Yeah.
So, but track that progress in the same way with anything that's connected with intuition. Track it in the same way. Write it down. Gold stars. Give them a thumbs up. You know, give your dad a thumbs up that he got through to you again.
Cool.
Okay, because
Thank
it's
you.
going to make it happen more.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Any other questions, you guys?
No,
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 you're good. You're good. Okay.
I have a lot to
Awesome.
process before I get questions.
Okay, I understand. I understand. So the stuff that I put in the little chat window, you should be able to click on it, download it if you want it to save and reflect on, because some of that'll give you just some reminders, especially the 5 ways to turn up your the volume and your intuition, the first one that I put in there. If you all text me your phone numbers or the phone number that you'd like me to send it to you, or the email's probably better, sorry. Send me your emails and I can send you the recording so you can always reflect on it too.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you guys so much for joining in. And if you don't have other questions for me, I'm going to wish you a good energy, good luck with working with your intuition and remembering that practice does make perfect. Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you so much.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you guys. Have a great rest of the day.
Yep.
Thanks, you
too.
too.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, thank you.
Bye.